You're listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by Nax. We'll talk about what we see at stores and what the future may hold for our industry.
The entire month of May, we've talked about road trips. What do they mean? What's going to happen this year in terms of creating memories? What we're going to talk about today is what's going to happen when literally the rubber meets the road. What is AAA's prediction on what is going to happen over Memorial Day drive and the rest of the summer? Welcome to Convenience Matters. My name's Jeff Lenard with Nax.
And I'm Chris Blasinsky with Nax.
So, Chris, we have a repeat guest on today. We have Andrew Gross, who is National Public Relations Manager with AAA, on for another appearance in talking about what's going to happen on Summer Drive and the rest of this summer. So, welcome, Andrew.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So, the big thing is AAA just came out with its look at Summer Drive in terms of what's going to happen over the Memorial Day weekend on the roads, in the air, everywhere. So can you give us a sense of what the big findings were in the new AAA survey?
Yeah, I sure can. We are looking at what is going to be the start of a very robust summer travel season. And Memorial Day is kind of the great kickoff. It's like waving the start flag at a race. And it's really going to be true this year, which is kind of unique given how expensive everything is across the board, whether it's gas or rental cars or airfares, hotels, everything is more expensive. And yet people want to travel. And that could be sort of a holdover COVID effect.
Sure. I mean, people just want to get away, right? However they intend to do
they
it.
want to get away. And we're looking at numbers around 39.2 million people are going to travel over Memorial Day. And that's close to pre-pandemic levels. Not quite, but we're getting there. And we think these kind of travel numbers will likely continue throughout the summer.
Is that across the board with road and air, or is one heavier than the other?
Yeah, that's across the board. And
Okay.
when we measure a trip, you have to go 50 miles away. So if you're just going around the corner to visit your aunt, that doesn't count.
Sure. Ride your bike.
Yeah. But say of the 39 million, 34 million plus are going to go by car. And that's a little bit of a dip. Usually car travel is around 90 to 92%. And this is a dip up to about 88%. So there are folks who have decided to pay those high airfares and they're going to go. And maybe they haven't gone anywhere for a couple of years and they've just decided to roll the dice.
And I would imagine that most people who are flying also at some point are picking up a car and doing some driving along the way, unless there are those people that like to fly to a airport hotel and stay there over a holiday weekend. So when we look at these numbers, the one thing I loved in the headline is the word Sizzlin. It's not just going to be robust travel, it's going to be Sizzlin this summer.
That's right, Sizzlin summer travel. That was actually my headline. I'm glad you pointed that out. I didn't want to brag about it too much, but
I like the alliteration, Andrew.
Thank you very much. But you're right. It's not just it's just people really want to get out and hit the road. The ones that can't. I'm asked this question quite a bit. Why is it that we're still below pre-pandemic levels? If people have grown more confident and comfortable about traveling amidst COVID, because certainly COVID hasn't gone anywhere, and there could be a lot of reasons for why we're not back at those levels, and cost could certainly be one of them. Because considering that costs for everything are more expensive, plus we've also lost 1 million people. And for every person that lost, they had family, they had friends, they had loved ones. And if that person was the breadwinner, maybe they're economically not at a place where they can go. And they may not be emotionally at a place where they're ready to travel yet as well. So that is something we have to look at too.
And when you look at Memorial Day travel, is there a difference between Memorial Day and the rest of the summer, or in previous years, does whatever happens on Memorial Day portend for a strong or a weak summer of travel?
Yeah, we've never seen a strong Memorial Day and then a downer summer. It's usually folks use Memorial Day, that sort of 5-day period, as they're at the starting gate and they're ready to go. And they will go away on a shorter trip on Memorial Day because you have a smaller window of time. But then maybe later on in the summer, they'll have the great big family vacation. But again, we're in all these uncharted waters. You still have COVID out there, and then you have all these high prices. So will travel change? We won't know until later on this fall when we look back to see just, was our forecast accurate? Did the numbers change at all? We won't know for a while yet. So it's going to be kind of interesting to observe as we go.
Within the survey that you guys just released, I was looking towards the end where it says the daily worst and best times to travel. And even though you put that stuff out there, people are going to be on the road no matter what, right?
Yeah,
and
right.
So they're going to have to stop somewhere, which is why, we particularly love when you guys come out with this survey, because it kicks off, the summer season for the convenience store industry. And they can also use this data to gauge just how busy things are going to get. So things are going to get busy, and folks can look forward to that within the retail space. So Jeff and I were kind of playing around with what are some of the, knowing what we know right now, what you just said, busy summer travel, things that convenience stores can do to be ready for it. Because as you said, prices are super high all across the board. But there's also a labor shortage. There's supply chain issues. There's a trucker shortage. There's still a lot of headwinds facing everyone. And yet people are going to be on the road visiting stores. So we were kind of playing around with what are some of the top 3 things retailers can kind of put in their minds right now to get ready for it. One of them being, I'll just throw it out there, clean bathrooms, clean restrooms for sure. And Jeff, what were some of the other ones that you threw out?
Probably clean bathrooms and clean bathrooms. And, we joke about that. But when you look at the idea of bathrooms, when somebody's on a road trip, the reason that convenience stores are so popular to stop at is you're looking for a place where you can get some food, you can get some food and beverages, you can get some fuel, and you can use the restrooms. And usually when somebody stops, I know everybody may have different patterns, but probably somebody's filling up, the rest of the family's going inside, and the first thing they're doing is they're going to the bathroom. And by the time somebody's filling up, if the rest of the family's coming out and said, let's go, that means there was a problem with the bathroom. And that means there's going to be no food sales. There's not going to be beverage sales. And we've all had those experiences where your shopping experience starts at the bathroom. The bathroom does not directly make you money, but it indirectly really can drive the business, particularly over the summer months. And what Chris was saying is, with the challenges with the labor shortage, we've been in stores recently where we've seen that the kitchen was closed because they just had a challenge with the labor shortage. But she said that, the bathrooms were clean. So when you're really in a pinch and you only have so much labor, keep those bathrooms clean, because even if you're not selling hot prepared food because you don't have enough people, they're still going to buy other things because they trust your brand, and bathrooms are a huge deal on the road. So that's kind of a cop-out to get to not only take your 1 and make it 2 and 3. So maybe I should pause and see what you guys have for number 2 and 3, and I can agree with that again.
Clean bathrooms.
Yeah.
The more you think about it, it sort of does set the whole tone for the entire experience. If you go in and the bathroom's clean, you're going to come out and feel much more positive about spending time and money to go around the rest of the store, because you were like, well, if it's clean in there, it's going to be spotless out here too. And I also think that in years past, no matter how high gas prices are, and we've never had gas prices this high, people have decided to travel, but they budget in the cost of gas, and that will probably still continue. And one way that they budget in, the cost of gasoline, they may eat out less. But they still need to eat. They still need to stop. So perhaps they won't go to a drive-through or a sit-down restaurant, but they will need to stock up on snacks for the road trip. Right. So it could be a very busy summer for convenience stores, because people are going to be, I'm going to save money by not going to drag everybody to the restaurant and sit down. Plus, we don't exactly feel comfortable doing that right now. but we will stock up on a lot of goods and things for our road trip or for our little stay at this convenience store.
Yeah, that's a good point, because food service within our industry is strong, right? And it's a growing segment. Every year we see the numbers tick up, minus, the thing we call the pandemic, which kind of threw everything out the window a little bit, but we're back on track. And the beauty of food service is that within the convenience store space, I think it taps into what you just said, Andrews. You don't have to make multiple stops, especially if you're trying to save on miles and, your gas and whatever, and to use the restroom. You can do it all in the convenience store space. And Jeff, you were going to say something and then I cut you off.
Yeah, and first off, Andrew, if you want to work for NACS, you're invited, because great plug for convenience stores.
Sure.
But another thing that just when you're talking about, the price of gas and how you might economize, this is something that we used to hear in 2008. We heard in other years when gas prices were high. I mean, people would talk to us and say, I can't go on vacation because gas prices are too much. And then you just kind of say, okay, well, let's kind of go through the numbers. And we have a lot of blogs that look at fueling issues at convenience.org/fuels. And one of them, we looked at road trips and we said, okay, gas prices are about $1 more, a little bit more than that, than they were this time last year. Now, what does that mean if you're going on a 600-mile round trip, road trip, 25 miles a gallon? You're going to spend an extra $24 on gas. And certainly nobody wants to spend an extra $24 when they don't have to. But if you're flying, you're checking a bag and it costs $30. Yeah. So, and if you can find a hotel that's $24, I don't know if that's good or not, because I don't know if I want to stay at a $24 hotel. So, but so put it all in context, and there's ways to save money. It creates memories. When we've done our surveys, the NAC surveys, we asked this year, do you plan on taking a road trip? And 2/3 of people said, yes, we do. And then the second question we asked, why? Is it because you can control where you're going, because you're looking to save money, or because of memories? And it was the memories. People want memories. And I think that you just kind of forget some of those maybe memories about fighting with your siblings, if that may have happened. Of course, it didn't happen with us because we were perfect. But you remember all those other things, and you remember the silly things. You remember that something you picked up at that stop along the way that just was special. And I think that's not going to change.
Right.
Now, another thing is, speaking of the bad memories, one of the things that we all always forget, one of the tips that was in the AAA survey was looking at best times to travel, worst times to travel. Now, this podcast is coming out just a few days before Memorial Day. But, if it's not too late to change your plans, what are the worst times to travel and what are the best times to travel over Memorial Day? And I think those have probably held true for a couple of years now.
Yeah, it's the afternoon drive time on, say, the Thursday before a big holiday weekend, whether it doesn't matter. It's always Thursday, 3 p.m. we tell people, don't be on the road then if you can avoid it. But unfortunately, a lot of people can't avoid it because they may work a half a day and then they have to go home, pack up the car, get everybody in there, and then they hit the road. But we tell folks, look, it's going to be busy this year. There are more people on the road. You're going to have a lot of company out there. So if you can avoid leaving on the afternoon, say a Thursday afternoon and Friday afternoon, instead shift it to morning, that would really be best. You will have a lot less company on the road with you.
Agree. I'm honestly, being in the DC area, I see that back up to about probably Tuesday now. I drive over the bridge and look at 495 heading east towards where all the beaches and everything are. And I wouldn't wish that traffic on anyone.
No. And it's the same for a lot of corridors, Atlanta, Houston, yep. Boston, Seattle. Seattle's got terrible traffic. Seems like 24 hours a day. So it is just, it's just busy times. And all those classic, if you live in those areas, you sort of know, it's going to get busy. So don't then decide, well, but I'm going to go on vacation and I'll just deal with it. If you can not deal with it and maybe alter your driving pattern and move it up by a couple hours, you'll save a little bit of aggravation.
One of the other numbers that really popped in looking at your press release on Memorial Day travel was 425,000 calls for help to AAA. That's an astonishing number in terms of the number of people over the long weekend that have some sort of issue that you help solve, whether it's batteries, tires, brakes, you name it. Yeah. Now, that's part of your service, yep. and that's part of the benefits of being involved with AAA. But are there any tips that AAA also offers so that you're not one of those 425,000 that calls for roadside assistance because you've taken care of something before it's a problem?
Right. A lot of those visits, unfortunately, for us on the roadside are something that was preventable with a little maintenance. And you have time now. We've got about 10 days. So get out there and get your car serviced. You've got some time. If you can't remember the last time your car was serviced, it's overdue. Same with your tires. They're the only part of your car that touches the road. So they're obviously the four most important things to take care of. And if you can't remember the last time you checked your tires, they're going to be low. So low tires are also incredibly fuel inefficient. So you're just costing yourself money. Mm-hmm. And properly inflated tires can increase your fuel efficiency by anywhere from 5 to 10%. So why not try and take advantage of that? So get your car in now and get it checked because you really don't want to have to be calling us over a 5-day holiday weekend. That's no way to spend a vacation waiting for AAA to pull up.
And that's one of the times that you don't want to be one of 425,000 people doing something.
That's certainly true. Now, especially if it was something preventable. If you run over a nail on the highway, you're kind of stuck. But if it was something you could have prevented before, just go ahead and do it.
Now, you might have run over a nail because you decide to stop in a $24 hotel that has nails in the parking lot, and that is preventable. I just want to point that out.
Good point.
Now, the survey is great. That's one of the many things that AAA talks about with numbers. And certainly the ones that you see every day in the news relates to gas prices and diesel prices. I know that AAA is very focused on facts. It's not a lot in the way of projection or things like that. Sticking to what's going on and what you see from your perspective. But is there any sort of overview that you can provide to people looking at the gas price numbers and the diesel price numbers across the country?
The prices are probably going to stay elevated through the summer. We know that the refineries are working at about 95% capacity right now. So they are trying to churn it out as quickly as possible. There is not really a supply issue. It's a demand issue. And it's also an oil cost issue. And that's where this war figures in. There's less and less Russian oil getting into the market. Russia supplies, it's either the number 2 or number 3, depending on the day, oil producer in the entire world. The United States is number 1. Saudi Arabia is around number 3. But without that Russian oil coming into the market, which is how they fund their war machine. I mean, they're a very extractive economy. They sell oil, they sell gas, they sell things. No one is standing in line at Best Buy to buy the Russian TV or buy a Russian cell phone. So by cutting that off, then there is no longer that oil in the global oil market. And that's why you're seeing these prices that are staying stubbornly above $100, even $110 a barrel. Back in August, you were talking about $64 a barrel. And when you're standing at the pump, remember, oil accounts for about 60% of the cost of what you're paying at the pump. So the higher the cost of oil, the higher your pump price. And the way this war is it's entering this grinding phase where it's just going to keep going and less Russian oil is coming on the market. The price of oil is not going to be dropping anytime soon.
So before we go to trivia, a few just wrapping up things in terms of couple things I think you want to remember is one, AAA can also save you discounts because there's plenty of opportunities to save on hotels and in various ways of travel. And second thing is if you're stuck in a traffic jam and you have a favorite podcast, well, maybe you can listen to that as long as you have positive memories of that traffic jam associated with that podcast. But one of the things that we've done over the last few months with the podcast is we've introduced trivia. So cue the music. And what we try to do is we try to find something that has some sort of convenience store connection and also some sort of connection to either when this airs or who we talk to. Chris has also said the questions are too hard, so I listened to her.
2 people have gotten them right.
I listened to her, and I made one even harder. So
great. Should be fun.
Anyway, I thought since when you think of summer, you think of summer drive. You also think of summer blockbusters, and of course, summer blockbusters today has to have some sort of superhero in it. So I'll give you 4 multiple choice questions. Before he was famous, which Marvel superhero was fired from his job at a convenience store? Choices are Chris Evans, Captain America, Chris Hemsworth, Thor, Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, or Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man. And Chris, you're eligible as well, and I'll throw one hint there. It was from a 7-Eleven in Australia.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would say Hugh Jackman then. Well, shoot, you have 2 Australians in there. I don't know. I'm going to go with you.
And then I go with Hemsworth because
50-50 shot.
Yeah.
Okay, well, between the both of you, you're right. Before he got some juicy acting roles, Hugh Jackman worked at a 7-Eleven store in Australia, but it didn't last long. He admits his customer service was not, get ready for this, marvelous.
Yeah.
Get it? The pun? Huh?
Very funny.
Yeah, I'm going to get fired too. So thank you. That's our trivia for today, and I'll turn it over to Chris for last thoughts.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to today's episode of Convenience Matters. And thank you, Andrew, for joining us. And for anyone who's looking for more information from AAA, where can we find you?
There are 2 great locations. There's newsroom.aaa.com, and for gas prices particularly, there's gasprices.aaa.com, updated every day at 3 a.m. so you can know exactly what you're about to pay wherever you're going.
Perfect for insomniacs, too.
I live and breathe by that website for sure. I've probably checked it almost every day for the last 17 years. So thank you, Andrew. And thanks, everyone, again for listening. You can check us out at conveniencematters.com. You can also subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast player. Thanks.
Convenience Matters is brought to you by NACS and produced in partnership with Human Factor. For more information, visit convenience.org.